So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Stacey's journey from 2004, the moment she arrived, to 2022, where she's now. And yeah, this is going to be a very, very long video. So it's going to be all of her 18 years of Stacey, and yeah, she did have some very tough but amazing storylines, and she played them really well. So, in 2004, in November, we met the feisty, cheeky teenager, Stacey Slater. She came to live with her uncle Charlie and grandmother Mo after falling out with her mom Jean. She got into a load of trouble, she was a teenager. She had a load of arguments, she was just the normal standard teenager that you get nowadays. And yeah, she had such an amazing first year in East End. So in 2007, Max and Stacey had an affair behind Bradley's back while Stacey was with Bradley, and they'd been married, and so obviously they had an affair. They kept sneaking off. Tanya had no idea about any of this. Stacey was kind of like leading Max on, trying to say, okay, you want me, and it was just amazing seeing. Like, I never thought this happened, but it was an amazing story. So in 2009, Stacey got diagnosed with bipolar. Now, Stacey was having a lot of episodes. Jean was seeing a lot of different things that were in her, in Stacey, and decided to get her checked. And it came back that Stacey was diagnosed with bipolar. Stacey wasn't happy with this news and decided to go out on a bit of an episode sprint thing. But yeah, Lacey played this absolutely fabulously. So in 2010, Stacey battered Janine. Now, this fight was amazing. It was the bush push fight, and Stacey, Janine called the social on Stacey, saying she was neglecting her daughter Lily. So Stacey, as we all know what Stacey's like, decided to go outside and literally batter Janine to like the end. And yeah, and she still wanted more. So also, Stacey gave birth to Lily in June. Now, when it's funny when you look back to now how Lily is now. She's that mini Stacey, but looking back on this, Stacey had her very first child. So in December, on Christmas Day, Stacey, after being falsely accused of stabbing Janine Butcher, Stacey decided there was no other way to, escape this. So she decided to go on the run and flee Wolford and go off to Mexico. Max helped her to the airport after escaping the police, and we seen Stacey on the plane with little baby Lily, happy that she was free and away from Wolford. So 4 years later, Stacey decided to return to Wolford, but she returned as Jenny Smith. She had a new boyfriend, Luke Riley, played by Matt Willis. He had no idea of Stacey's backstory, who Stacey was, and he met her in Mexico in a bar, and Kat spotted her from the top of a bus and tried to track her down and get her back to Wolford, which she did, and then she split up with Luke. So after Stacey returned to Wolford, she decided she couldn't live with the grief of having, Bradley, she needed to clear Bradley's name basically, and she decided that she can't have her daughter living in a lie. So she decided to confess to killing Archie and got sentenced to 5 years, but appealed because of her bipolar. Jean was so distraught, and I think we all were, especially me. And yeah, Stacey got freed and came back to the square. So in 2016, Stacey had a bit of a rough one, but Lacey did play this brilliantly. So Stacey gave birth to Arthur Fowler, which was her second son with Kush Kazemi. And she obviously got something called postpartum psychosis. Stacey did later get sectioned. She was on the roof of Vic saying that God was coming to get her and her baby. But it was absolutely fantastic. And Lacey did absolutely brilliant this one. So in 2018, when the news was finally out, Kat, Jean, and Big Mo returned to help, come back to help Stacey with, obviously after her divorce and split from Martin Fowler. And you just knew as soon as these three were back with Stacey on the square, you knew that things were not going to go the way that everyone hoped. But the Slaters were back in town, and they had the most amazing time in the square. Some of them have gone. Big Mo's gone. Jean's still in it and Kat's still in it. But it was amazing knowing that Kat and Jean and Big Mo were coming back. But those three weren't the only ones who returned. We also got, later on in September, we got the return of Stacey's old friend, Ruby Allen. Now, she returned after 17 years, or something like that, and she returned, and obviously, reunited with Stacey. She got raped, which Stacey helped her with, and it was like a friends reunited, which was lovely. So in 2019, in August, Stacey, Martin and Kat were having a bit of a row with Phil, and Phil decided to pin Martin to the ground and start strangling him. Then all of a sudden, Stacey whacked Phil over the head and literally left him in a coma. And obviously, Stacey, this is what Stacey's like. She's used to killing people, and fair play to her. I do understand, Stacey was distraught after all this, and it really broke Stacey, and she thought, what's she going to do? And yeah, but it was good helping her protect her husband. So later on, the next episode, the Stacey decided there was only one way to get out of going to prison again, because Stacey thought that if the police find out it was her, they will lock her up and throw away the key this time. So Stacey decided to go on the run again. So she took Lily, Hope, and Martin went with her. And Stacey left Arthur with his dad, Kush, and left her, Jean, who was battling with cancer. But it was so sad to see Stacey go. I was crying. So, after a year away, on the September the 21st, 2020, Stacey Slater returned to the square, and she came back with a bang, and it was revealed that Stacey was the one that had basically took money and pretended to be Ruby and taken her money. So Stacey strutted back into Wolford looking like an absolute queen, and she confronted Ruby, and yeah, it was so good to see Stacey back. I was so happy when I seen this ep. So, also, in a few episodes after, in October, Stacey found out that Ruby was having her kids at the club for movies and treats and all that. So Stacey decided to rush over there to get her kids. But no one answered. She was shouting, Ruby! And then all of a sudden, a guy who was hooded grabbed Stacey, chucked her to the floor, and literally attacked her. Left her in an alleyway with a bleeding head, and luckily Kirat came to the rescue and helped Stacey, and then obviously they slept together. So let's skip to the year after. So in April 2021, Stacey got framed by Ruby for pushing her down the stairs and causing Ruby to have a miscarriage. I mean, we all know that Stacey didn't do anything like that because Stacey's not like that. So obviously Stacey went to prison for 6 months, and it was so hard to have no Stacey for 6 months. But obviously she came back in September the 16th after Martin visited her, and she said she was going to kill Ruby. He needed to sort Ruby out, or she was going to kill her. So in October, Stacey returned from prison, and she brought a new prison friend with her, Eve Unwin. Now, I had no idea. I thought there was a little bit more going on to this one, and obviously, it was revealed that Stacey had married her to get her out. Um, so obviously, Jean wasn't very happy with this. Jean didn't like Eve to start with. Tried to say, she married a volatile lesbian. But obviously, Stacey said, she can be a bit hot headed, but she's fine. She helped her in prison, and yeah, we just saw a different side to Stacey. So at the start of 2022, Stacey decided to get a job and went for market inspector, and she got the job, but it didn't go the way she was expecting it to go. She got rubbish tipped over her. No one was listening to her, and also she nearly got hit by a car, which I'm so glad Martin pulled her back, because obviously, this job obviously wasn't for Stacey. She, I thought Stacey would have kicked arse at this job, but obviously she didn't. It wasn't for her, and Stacey quit, and obviously Honey Mitchell got the job, which I think she's loving now. So after quitting Market Inspector, Stacey had her own idea and decided to start her own bat van, like doing burgers and hot dogs and buns and all that. So obviously Stacey's bat van opened, and it was just it has become a success, and it felt weird getting Stacey having her own business. So later on in 2022, in April, Jean had a bit of a meltdown, had a bit of another episode, and decided to run off to Southend in a wedding dress. So Stacey and Martin obviously asked Harvey where Jean was heading to, and headed to Southend to find her. Jean went on a roller coaster. Stacey went a bit mad, you know, she was worried about her mom, which anyone would be, and found her in the Hall of Mirrors. Stacey did walk into the glass, which made me laugh, and obviously Stacey had to pull Jean out of the sea in the end. So that was 18 years of Stacey Slater, and all I have to say is Lacey Turner really did pull it out the bag. After 18 years of Stacey, it's really been. I have loved watching this woman. This is the only reason I watch EastEnders. You know, she's just the best, and yeah. But which storyline did you like of Stacey Slater?